So if you've been thinking about playing Age of Sigmar, now may be the very best time to get started. In this episode, I'll explain why. Alright, so here we have the new dual box for Warhammer Age of Sigmar that will become available for pre-order this Saturday, called the Arena of Shades. Now, Games Workshop does these types of box sets all the time. The most recent one actually sold for $170, which is a good price point for something like this, but we've recently had the Games Workshop price changes, mostly increases, like 99% increases, but don't let that dissuade you. Even though this box set will now go for $195, it's arguably one of the best values Games Workshop has put out for one of these in a long time. Let me explain more. So in this new box set, you get the typical situation of two armies opposing each other, aka the dual box. We have the Daughters of Khaine and the Nighthaunts. Typically in these box sets, you have one unique character model for each army, and that's it. The rest of the units in the box are pre-existing model kits that, when bundled together in a box like this, it's cheaper. However, in this particular dual box, while that's true for the Daughters of Khaine, pre-existing units with the exception of the one new character model, for the Nighthaunts, you actually have an entirely new unit plus the new character model. So let's take a look at those units. First off, there are a total of 44 miniatures, so a ton of models in this box. That alone's pretty sweet. But for starters, here we have the new character model for the Daughters of Khaine. She's got a unique name. It's High Gladiatrix. Yeah, it took me like 20 times to practice that before I got it right, so hopefully that time I did. All right, the other model is the Scriptor Mortis, and this is the character model for the Nighthaunts. So, like I said, typically you only get one of each as new models for a dual box, but again, with the Nighthaunt, you actually get another new unit, and that's this Craven Throne Guard. This is really sweet. This is from another article on the Warhammer community site, but it's a unit of 5 models. One's kind of a standard bearer, you can see in the middle there, and then the other 4 all have crossbows. In this particular article, they have the Soul Hunter's crossbow, the stats for those crossbows. Range 12 inches, 2 attacks, 4+ to hit, 4+ to wound, -1 rend, and 1 damage. Arguably not necessarily the best stats that there are for range units, but not bad, especially since if you weren't familiar with any of the Death armies, they don't have a lot of range. So it's really interesting that Nighthaunt got this range unit. And if you play some of the other Death armies, I think you could go ahead and put these in one of those armies to try them out, just to see what it's like to have some ranged flavor, if you will. Of course, you'll have to check the requirements on your given army if you can play them. Me as a Soulblight Gravelords player, I believe I have access to all the Nighthaunts, so I may try to figure out a way to work these into my my Soulblight army. Let's jump back to the box. So, in addition to the 2 unique character models and that new unit for the Nighthaunts, these are the other models that come in that set. So, we'll start with the Nighthaunts. The Nighthaunts have the Bladegeist Revenants, the Mirmorn Banshees, and the Spirit Torment with his enslaved chain gas. So let's take a look at those models briefly, because if you are a new player, you may not be familiar with these models. So we showed you the Craven Throne. These are the Bladegeist Revenants. You can kind of make a note of the prices on these too, because we'll do a kind of a cost comparison at the end. But these are the Bladegeists. These are the Mirmorn Banshees. And they call it the Crawlock the Jailer, Crawlock the Jailer, but these are basically the Spirit Torment with chain gas that are in the box, of course. Now, going back to the Daughters of Khaine, for that half of the box, we have the Doomfire Warlocks, we have the Khanari Heartrenders, and the Sisters of Slaughter. So let's take a look at those models just in case you're a new player. The Sisters of Slaughter, again, you can make a note of the prices, but we'll check those here at the end. Again, Sisters of Slaughter, the Khanari Heartrenders, and the Doomfire Warlocks. So that's what we have for the models for the Daughters of Khaine house. So this is kind of the group picture here. But not only do we have a lot of plastic in this box, we also have those supplemental books. So we have the booklets, we have the War Scroll cards, and we also have that core rule book with a lot of the fluff removed, but enough to get you playing the game. So in addition, of course, it comes with a variety of tokens. It actually comes with the decals, or if you're in the UK, the decals to use for your army. You can see that in the image right here. So again, dual box, 2 armies, Daughters of Khaine, Nighthaunts, the campaign booklet, the kind of the reduced core rulebook, just so you can start playing the game, tokens, War Scroll cards, and the decals, and of course 44 models. So as I mentioned at the start of this video, why this is the best time to probably get started playing Age of Sigmar, especially if you're a new player, or you're just looking for a really great value to get into some of these other armies you've thought about playing, but just weren't ready to jump in yet. Let's take a look at that. I basically put together kind of a brief price list here. I think, yeah, it comes completely in on the screen here, so great. So the MSRP on this box set here in the States is $195 USD. Now the Nighthaunts, those Blade Geist Revenants, come in at $50. The easy to build Mirrormorn Banshees come at $16.50. And that Crawlock the Jailer, that's the Spirit Torment with the Chain Gas. That comes in at $42. And then the Craven Throne Guard, we don't know for sure what that box will be when it comes out individually since it's brand new. We're going to estimate a $50 to $60 price point for that unit. And then the Scriptor Mortis, again, we're estimating here anywhere between $35 to $45. It could be as low, it could be anywhere in between. There are some price points that show it could be $38 or even $42. But we're kind of going on the far ends of the spectrum here, $35 to $45. So with those prices in mind, just on the Nighthaunt side alone of this box set, you're looking at anywhere between $193.50 on the low end to $213.50 on the high end. That's just for one half. Now for the Daughters of Khaine, we have the Doomfire Warlocks at $42, the Khanari Heartrenders at $60, the Sisters of Slaughter at $60, and then we're doing another kind of guesswork for that character model, the High Gladiatrix, at $35 to $45. So the approximate cost for that, just on that half, would be $197 to $207. You're probably seeing a trend here. Both halves are arguably more than the whole, which is crazy. And that doesn't include these miscellaneous costs. So that core rulebook is kind of a reduced version. I'm giving it an approximate value of $30. The War Scroll cards, if you were to get the Nighthaunt War Scroll cards originally, they were, I believe, $25 before the price increase, so they're probably normally $33. I think in these dual boxes, it is a customized War Scroll collection of War Scroll cards just for the units in the box. It's not the typical full release. So I'm including those prices, of course, here as if they were a full release. Just keep that in mind. They probably would be a little less than that typically, but still. The approximate value of the old price is $25 to possibly up to $33 now. And that would be for both halves, right? So anywhere between $50 and $66 in total cost would be for the War Scroll cards if you were to buy those separately. Just keep that in mind. So the full total would be without the War Scroll cards or that core rule book. And I didn't go into the campaign booklet. That's kind of a hard thing to estimate a value on, so just keep that in mind. That's just included no matter what. You're looking at $390.50 to $420.50 just for the miniatures themselves. And then if you do include the core rulebook and the War Scroll cards into that cost, you're looking at $440.50 or $486.50. So the cost of these all individually, so your overall savings on the low end would be anywhere between $195.50 to $225.50. And then if you include the core rulebook and the War Scroll cards, you're looking at a savings of $245.50 to $291.50. That's kind of bonkers. Now, again, I know those miscellaneous costs are kind of, there's a little bit of mystery number work in there, but you still get the idea. Even with just the plastic alone, if you and a friend were to jump in on this, just half of this box kind of pays for itself. So if you're looking to get into Age of Sigmar at a really good price point, and arguably that the Daughters of Khaine are, they're a cool looking army. If you're into the competitive scene, or you think you might be, they're a relatively competitive army. Maybe not the specific makeup, but it's a good starting point. And the Nighthaunts, while not necessarily competitive right now, they may become more competitive with that Craven Throne Guard, that new Scriptor Mortis model, and I believe there's a rules update for them as well, so they may become more competitive. If anything, they're also very cool looking models. So, again, that's why I think this Arena of Shades is probably maybe one of the best values Games Workshop has put out in years. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to get your feedback on this as well. Are you thinking about picking this up? Why? Why not? If you're a new player, was this deal a good reason for you to jump in? I would love to hear your comments below. Also, if you haven't yet and you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. It really helps with the growth of the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. And as always, I hope everyone's doing well. Be safe, take care, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.